On the night of September 28, 2019, around 10 p.m., the streets were quiet and traffic was sparse. A white Wagoner car was speeding down the road. Kartik Kesari, a 35-year-old man, was driving, while his wife, Preeti, sat beside him. The couple was in high spirits, returning home after shopping for Durga Puja from Ranchi, the capital of Jharkhand. Their home was in Pithoria, Victoria, in the Kunti district. As they approached Badu Chowk in Kunti district, two young men on a motorcycle overtook their car and stopped right in front of them. Kartik slammed on the brakes to avoid hitting the bike. Just 10 meters ahead of them, a white Scorpio car was already parked. Before Kartik could fully grasp the situation, the two men on the bike approached, hurling abuses and demanding he step out of the car. At the same time, two more men emerged from the Scorpio. One of them was armed with an iron rod. Sensing danger, Kartik was unsure of what to do. The stillness of the night meant no one was around for help. The four men continued to hurl insults at Kartik, demanding he get out of the car. Eventually, unable to tolerate the abuse, Kartik stepped out. Immediately, the men attacked him, raining punches and kicks on him. In the midst of the assault, the man with the iron rod struck a powerful blow to the back of Kartik's head. The strike was so forceful that Kartik's head split open. He let out a painful scream and collapsed to the ground, blood pooling around him. Once the assailants were convinced Kartik was dead, they fled the scene. Preeti, who had been sitting terrified in the car, witnessed her husband dying in front of her eyes. After the attackers left, she rushed out of the car, crying and trying to shake Kartik, but there was no movement. He was dead. Distraught and unsure whom to turn to for help, Preeti suddenly remembered her nephew, Shankar. Through tears, she called him and explained the entire incident. Shankar, though shaken, reassured her and told her he would be there soon. Shankar immediately set off for the scene. In the meantime, Preeti also called her father-in-law, Janardhan Kesari, and her cousin Ranjit to inform them about the tragedy. Karthik's family soon arrived at the scene. Shankar, acting swiftly, wrapped Karthik's still bleeding head with a towel. With the help of others, they rushed Kartik to the hospital, but the doctors declared him dead on arrival. The incident fell under the jurisdiction of the Kank police station. As soon as the station received news of Kartik Kesari's murder, Officer Vinay Kumar Singh and his team arrived at the hospital. The hospital was crowded because Kartik wasn't just an ordinary person, he was a ration dealer in Pithoria and a well-known social worker. Many people from the area knew him, and as soon as they heard of his murder, they rushed to the hospital. Seeing the growing crowd, Officer Vinay Singh realized that if additional police forces weren't deployed, the situation could spiral out of control. He immediately informed SSP Anish Gupta, who dispatched a team from Pithoria station, led by Officer Vinod Ram, to the hospital. Both police teams managed to bring the situation under control. Soon after, SP Amit Renu and DSP Neeraj Kumar also arrived. Karthik's family demanded that the murderers be arrested quickly, warning that they wouldn't be able to control the angry crowd otherwise. SP Amit Renu assured them that if they cooperated with the law, the killers would be apprehended soon. Calmed by his words, Karthik's family and the crowd allowed the police to proceed with their work. The police took possession of Karthik's body and sent it for postmortem. They then questioned the only eyewitness, Preeti. Through her tears, Preeti told the police that 4 to 5 men had brutally beaten Kartik with sticks and iron rods. After the attack, they fled towards Pithoria Chowk on 2 motorcycles. Preeti explained that due to the distance, she hadn't gotten a good look at their faces. Officers Vinay Kumar Singh and Vinod Ram then took Karthik's family to the crime scene. Blood was scattered over a large area, though it had begun to dry. The police collected samples of the blood-soaked soil as evidence, but found no other clues at the scene. Later that night, based on a written complaint from Karthik's father, Janardhan Kesari, the police registered a case under sections 302 and 201 against 5 unidentified men. By September 30th, Karthik's postmortem report revealed that he had died from a deep head injury and excessive blood loss. 3 days had passed since Karthik's murder, but the police had no solid leads. SSP Anil Gupta formed a team, led by DSP Neeraj Kumar, to investigate the case further. The police revisited the crime scene to re-examine the situation. Their investigation revealed that the couple had been returning home from shopping for Durga Puja when the attack occurred. However, the police were puzzled by the fact that the attackers hadn't intended to rob Kartik, as nothing was stolen from Preeti. Another point of concern was why Preeti hadn't resisted or raised an alarm when the attackers brutally assaulted her husband right in front of her eyes. Moreover, Preeti claimed the attackers fled on motorcycles towards Pithoria Chowk, but CCTV footage from the area showed no motorcycles passing by at the time she mentioned. This raised suspicions that Preeti might not be telling the truth. To further investigate, the police retrieved Kartik and Preeti's phone records. The data revealed a shocking detail. While Preeti's phone had been at the crime scene during the attack, just before Kartik's murder, she had made several calls to a single number. This strengthened the police's suspicion that Preeti might be involved in her husband's murder. The number Preeti had repeatedly called belonged to Ankit Kesari, also known as Bidu, a resident of Ladmakera in Kunti district. When the police visited Ankit's house, they discovered he had been missing for about 15 days, and his family had no idea where he was. Ankit's sudden disappearance only deepened the police's suspicion of his involvement in the murder. With 2 weeks having passed and pressure mounting on the police to solve the case, they arrested Preeti on October 10, 2019, and brought her in for questioning. Initially, Preeti denied any involvement in her husband's murder. However, when confronted with her phone records and the connection to Ankit, she became nervous. Her lover Ankit Kesari, along with his associates, murdered Kartik Kesari. When people heard about Preeti's actions, the same woman who erased her own sindoor symbol of marriage, they were shocked. However, the police presented Preeti in court and sent her to jail. During the interrogation, the names of several accused individuals like Ankit Kesari, Ujjwal Kesari, Deepak Linda, and Vishal Kunwar Pandey surfaced. The police were attempting to arrest the accused, but they all went into hiding after the incident. In fact, 30-year-old Kartik Kesari was originally from Victoria in Kunti district's Pithoria police station area. His father, Janardhan Kesari, was considered one of the area's prominent landlords, owning several acres of land. The family consisted of 4 members: Kartik's parents, Kartik, and his married sister. Kartik, having received an education, was a grown man, and he often helped his father with the farming. Since he was the only son, his father didn't allow him to work a government job, reasoning that they had everything they needed. Kartik, too, thought that if he went away for work, who would take care of his aging parents? He was their last hope in their old age. That's why Kartik never considered going anywhere. When Kartik became of marriageable age, many marriage proposals started coming in. Among them was one from a girl named Preeti from a village called Radwakera. The girl was described as beautiful and cultured. Kartik's father, Janardhan Kesari, also liked the proposal and, in 2011, got Kartik married to Preeti. However, Preeti wasn't happy when she came to her in-law's house. According to her, while Kartik was wealthy, he wasn't very handsome. Nevertheless, Kartik and his family treated Preeti with great respect because she was the only daughter-in-law of the household. Kartik, too, did everything he could to keep his wife happy. Over time, Preeti became the mother of 2 daughters, Nisha and Pari. Yet, even after becoming a mother, Preeti's heart remained with her lover Ankit Kesari, also known as Bitu, who lived in her parental village. Preeti and Ankit had known each other since childhood and went to school together, forming a close bond. Their friendship eventually blossomed into love. They both wanted to marry each other, but since they lived in the same village and were neighbors, it wasn't possible. Preeti's family was aware of her relationship with Ankit and, to break it off, arranged her marriage with Kartik in 2011. Even after her marriage, Preeti and Ankit kept their love a secret. When Kartik went to work, Preeti would spend hours talking to Ankit on the phone. Once, when Ankit visited her in-law's house, Preeti introduced him as a distant relative to her husband and in-laws. Ankit began visiting her in-law's house more frequently, which raised suspicion in Kartik's father. One day, Kartik confronted Preeti, asking why Ankit visited so often and why she didn't stop him. Realizing that Kartik was becoming suspicious, Preeti warned Ankit not to visit again without her permission. Though disheartened, Ankit agreed. However, Ankit, being from a wealthy family, had no shortage of money and lived a carefree life with his friends, spending extravagantly. His close friends, including Vishal Pandey, a lawyer, and Ujjwal Kesari, his driver, were aware of his love affair with Preeti. After being forbidden to visit Preeti's in-laws' house, Ankit and Preeti began contemplating eliminating Kartik permanently. Ankit shared this plan with his friends, but they advised against it. In September 2019, a party was held at one of Kartik's relatives' houses, which both Kartik and Preeti attended. Ankit, too, was present. When Ankit saw Preeti, he became excited and joined her, eating from the same plate. When Kartik saw them together, he became furious and scolded them in front of everyone, humiliating them. Ankit decided to take revenge on Kartik for the public insult. After the party, Kartik warned Preeti never to talk to Ankit again, threatening that if she did, there would be dire consequences. Kartik even told Preeti that he could kill Ankit to protect the family's honor. Frightened by her husband's threat, Preeti shared everything with Ankit and convinced him to kill Kartik. With Preeti's consent, Ankit, along with his friends, planned Kartik's murder. On September 28, 2019, following the plan, Kartik, at Preeti's request, took her to Ranchi to shop for Durga Puja supplies. After finishing the shopping, they left Ranchi around 8 p.m. Preeti secretly informed Ankit of their departure. Ankit, along with Vishal Pandey and others, set up an ambush at Badu Chowk. Around 10 p.m., when Kartik's car reached the ambush point, they forced Kartik out of the car and brutally attacked him with iron rods, killing him on the spot. Preeti watched with satisfaction as her lover eliminated the obstacle to their relationship. Later, the police arrested Vishal Pandey and other accomplices, including Ankit. All the accused confessed to the crime, and the murder weapons were recovered. The culprits were sent to jail, providing some solace to Kartik's grieving parents, who were devastated by their son's death. Preeti, who had washed away her sindoor with her own hands, believed she had committed the perfect crime. However, after 15 months, justice was served, and Kartik's parents found a bit of peace. Now, they await Preeti's harsh punishment for taking their son's life. Her lover Ankit Kesari, along with his accomplices, murdered Kartik Kesari. The shocking actions of Preeti, who erased her own marital bond, left everyone stunned. However, the police presented Preeti in court and sent her to jail. During Preeti's interrogation, several accused individuals, including Ankit Kesari, Ujjwal Kesari, Deepak Linda, and Vishal Kunwar Pandey, were identified. The police were trying to arrest the accused, but all of them fled after the incident. Kartik Kesari, 30 years old, was originally from Victoria in the Pithoria police station area of Kunti district. His father, Janardhan Kesari, was considered one of the prominent landowners in the area. They owned several acres of land, and there were 4 members in the family: Kartik, his parents, and his sister, who was already married. Kartik, having grown up and received education, helped his father with farming work. Being the only son, his parents didn't want him to pursue a job, as they believed they had everything and didn't see any benefit in a government job. Kartik shared the same view, thinking that if he left for a job, who would take care of his aging parents, as he was their only support in their old age. Thus, he never thought about leaving. When Kartik was of marriageable age, many proposals came in, one of which was from a girl named Preeti from Rudwa, Kara. She was described as beautiful and cultured. Kartik's father liked this proposal, and in 2011, they arranged Kartik's marriage to Preeti. However, after coming to her in-law's house, Preeti wasn't happy. She believed that although her husband was rich, he lacked physical attractiveness. Kartik and his family treated Preeti like royalty, as she was the only daughter-in-law in the house, and Kartik made every effort to keep her happy. Over time, Preeti became the mother of 2 daughters, Nisha and Perry. Despite this, her mind remained consumed with thoughts of her childhood lover, Ankit Kesari, also known as Bitu, who lived in her parental home. Preeti and Ankit used to go to school together as children and were very close friends. If Preeti ever missed a day of school, Ankit would also find an excuse not to attend. As they grew up, their friendship turned into love. They became serious about their relationship and wanted to get married. However, since they lived in the same village and were neighbors, marriage between them wasn't possible. Both their families were aware of their love, which is why Preeti's family hurried to get her married elsewhere. In 2011, Preeti's family married her off to Kartik Kesari to break her bond with Ankit. For years, Preeti and Ankit's love remained a secret. After her husband left for work, Preeti would spend hours talking to Ankit on the phone. Once, when Ankit visited Preeti's in-laws' house, she introduced him to her in-laws and husband as a distant relative. After that, Ankit frequently visited Preeti's in-laws' house. When her husband would go out of town for work, Preeti would deceive her in-laws and secretly call Ankit over. Her father-in-law eventually grew suspicious of Ankit's frequent visits and began to question why he was always around. "Why does he come here again and again? Why don't you stop him from coming here?" Preeti understood that Kartik had become suspicious of her. She called her lover Ankit and told him that Kartik was suspicious of them. She told him not to come until she says so. Listening to Preeti, Ankit felt a bit sad, but did not stop meeting her, as he came from a wealthy family with cars, servants, and all the comforts of life. Money was never an issue for him. He spent his days indulging with friends, spending money lavishly. His close friends included Vishal Pandey, Deepak, and Ujjwal Kesari. Vishal Pandey was a lawyer, and Ujjwal Kesari was his driver. These friends also knew about Ankit and Preeti's love affair. Since Preeti had asked Ankit not to visit her in-laws, one thought kept coming to her mind to get rid of Kartik forever. Ankit shared this thought with his friends, but they advised against it. Vishal Pandey suggested finding another way. In the second week of September 2019, a relative of Kartik hosted a party where many influential people from the city were present. The party was at night, and the guests were having dinner. Ankit Kesari was also there, and Kartik attended with his wife Preeti. Kartik left Preeti at the party and went to meet guests and old friends. Ankit knew Preeti would be there, and when he saw her, he was overjoyed. He was eating from a plate when Preeti came and started eating from the same plate. At that moment, Kartik arrived and saw his wife eating with her lover from the same plate. Furious, Kartik publicly humiliated them both, saying things he shouldn't have in his anger, causing Ankit and Preeti to feel ashamed. Though Ankit swallowed the insult for Preeti's sake, he decided in his heart to take revenge on Kartik for the public humiliation. After the party, Kartik returned home with Preeti and scolded her even more. He warned Preeti that if she ever tried to contact Ankit again, there would be severe consequences. Kartik even threatened to kill Ankit to preserve the family's honor. Frightened by her husband's threats, Preeti called Ankit and told him everything. She persuaded him to help get Kartik out of the way. With Preeti's permission, Ankit and his friends planned to murder Kartik. On the morning of September 28, 2019, Kartik, on Preeti's suggestion, took her to Ranchi in his car to buy items for Durga Puja. Kartik was responsible for shopping for Durga Puja every year, as he was the president of the Durga Puja committee. After shopping all day, they left Ranchi at around 8 p.m. Preeti secretly informed Ankit that they were heading home and would reach Kunti in 2 hours. Meanwhile, Ankit, along with Vishal Pandey, hid a rod and sticks in their car. Deepak and Manjesh, on a bike, also arrived at the location Ankit had mentioned, Badu Chowk. Ankit hid nearby, waiting for the right moment. At 10 p.m., as Kartik's car approached Badu Chowk, Ankit signaled Deepak to overtake the car, ensuring Kartik wouldn't escape. Deepak did exactly that. He blocked Kartik's car with his bike. Ankit and Vishal then approached Kartik's car, armed with sticks and rods. They forced Kartik out of the car, and Vishal struck Kartik on the head with the rod, splitting his skull in two, killing him instantly. Preeti, who was sitting in the car, felt secretly happy as her biggest obstacle, Kartik, was gone forever. Now, no one could stop her and Ankit from being together. What Kartik's parents went through is beyond our imagination. Pressured by her family, Preeti had married Kartik, but was never happy in the marriage. To achieve her happiness, she chose the wrong path, leaving Kartik's aging parents without their son and their only support. On December 10th, Vishal Pandey was arrested. However, Ankit and his accomplices were still at large. On March 6, 2020, Deepak, Ujjwal Kesari, and Manjesh were also arrested. Finally, in April 2020, Ankit Kesari was arrested. All the accused confessed to Kartik's murder, and the rod used in the crime was recovered. The accused were presented in court and sent to jail. Kartik's mother, who had always claimed that her daughter-in-law was responsible for her son's death, finally found some relief. Kartik's father was also deeply wounded, but seeing the killers brought to justice gave him some comfort. This story is not meant to hurt anyone's feelings, but to raise awareness. What are your thoughts on this incident? Please share in the comments. If you appreciated our effort, like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.